In December 2021, the entire procurement department headed by Ted Musonda and Assistant Secretary Roy Tembo were suspended on corruption and abuse of authority allegations.
I want to confirm that we have suspended the procurement team headed by the head of procurement and the assistant secretary who presided over the procurement process and was acting permanent secretary then. The ACC has therefore constituted investigations in the procurement process of the Wasteful project of construction of 9 houses and 3 gates at Lukusuzi National Park. We do not want to preempt things that have no evidence, so we'll make sure that when the investigations are done, then we'll still get back to you and give all the details.
The Anti-Corruption Commission instituted investigation in this matter and referred Zambia Public Procurement Authority to carry out a full procurement audit. According to a letter written in May 2023, corresponding to Eastern Province Permanent Secretary Potore, states, and I quote, "Reference is made to a letter I wrote to your office on 22nd November 2022 and your follow-up letter of 9th May 2023 on the above subject matter. Sir, investigations into this matter are still underway. As I indicated in the previous letter, our findings so far have pointed to failure to follow procedure against Mr. Ted Musonda and Assistant Secretary Dr. Lloyd Tembo. Further, the matter has been referred to the Zambia Public Procurement Authority with a request for them to carry out a full procurement audit, and a report thereof is being awaited by the Commission. However, considering that all necessary evidence in the matter has been secured, I wish to recommend that in order to facilitate continuation of normal operations at Provincial Administration Office, the 2 officers may be recalled and any other necessary administrative action taken in their respect. The Commission will advise at a later stage after the audit has been concluded by ZPPA as to whether the matter will be taken for prosecution or further administration action. Your usual support in the fight against corruption is highly appreciated." End of quote. The Zambia Public Procurement Authority is yet to confirm whether an audit has been conducted. However, close sources to the story in government say the process has not yet been conducted. Despite being on suspension to date, 2 officials have been receiving salaries totaling to $624,000, approximately $30,000 for a period of 30 months.
Yeah, we would want to add our voice and concern in the manner government is handling, cases, it being disciplinary cases, it being whatever cases which leads to a suspension of someone. Our concern is that these cases, they take, too long to be concluded, and we have an issue at hand for Eastern Province at the provincial administration under the Wasteful project, where it was and it is in the public domain that the PS had suspended, some officers for allegedly, fraud practices with regards to Wasteful project. And what we have seen or heard is that their cases were being investigated, and after being investigated, the investigative wing actually gave, a recommendation to the provincial administration. But we are saddened to note that the provincial administration seem not to be working towards the recommendation of the investigative wing, so to say, the Anti-Corruption Commission. Now, the danger and our complaint is that, you see, these officers, it has come to our attention that they are actually the 2 senior officers whose positions have not yet been filled, We are told there are people that are acting on them, and then these officers, they are receiving full salaries. This is unacceptable. We have a lot of challenges in this country, and if you talk about this year, we are talking about the drought, which the president declared as a disaster. It meant that we need to guard, our public resources very, very jealously, and use them where really they are really needed. And this provincial administration or government cannot tell us to say we need to pay people full salaries that are not working. This is also, a daylight robbery to the public resources. Would rather see that, these people are taken back to their positions with immediate effect, or they are completely, fired or detached from government services if government does no longer need their services. So what we are saying is that when we are talking about prudent use of public resources, we are talking in terms of sealing all areas where government must not spend unnecessarily. And this expenditure of paying someone a full salary who is not providing any service, it's actually spending money unnecessarily. And we want these things to stop. We are concerned that there are such a lot of, cases under the civil service that depend for so long. And this is actually, it is affecting the delivery service itself, because the people are in the civil service or in the public service to deliver services to the Zambian people. Now, if these people are suspended for many, many years, they are not delivering, it means to some extent we are hindering the services, the much needed services to the local people. Secondly, this issue of where somebody is being suspended and then you pay him or her half salary or full salary, like in this case, this is unnecessary spending. So we want to say that government also should not be just be interested, in pursuing other matters, and the matters that concern it, they seem to be not pursued at the speed that it is expected. Then that is wrong. But again, there is an issue of an injustice here. When somebody has been accused of something and the cases are not concluding, what is the perception of people when they see these officers not working and they're in the field? Definitely they are labeled as thieves or something like that. So this is why there is an injustice to this part. But there could be, more serious issues in terms of government, because what would have happened is, if these people, they sue government and then they win the case, it means the government has to pay them.
They say we are saddened that when investigations were concluded or partially concluded by the Corruption Commission, and recommendations were made to the Provincial Permanent Secretary to retain the officers involved. And it's a surprise that the officers have not yet been returned to office, and yet they are receiving a full-scale salary. We don't understand the aspect of good governance, integrity there, because you have been informed that you retain the officers back to duty, and the officers are not working, meaning that services are not provided as per required. So in this case, we are just appealing to the Permanent Secretary to take this issue very seriously and heed to the advice by the Anti-Corruption Commission to retain the officers that were being suspended back to work when ACC concluded its investigations at the provincial level. We don't want to start raising placards to demand for fair and justice to the officers. I think there is need that the Permanent Secretary acts wisely, professionally, and also realize that workers have the right to work. You can suspend, a suspension has got its own limit, and the reasons for suspensions were stated. And those reasons are actually been given. I find out the findings are yet to be established when the Anti-Corruption Commission concludes its thorough investigations. But they recommended that these officers be retained, so we don't know why the officers have not been, their suspension have not been lifted. So we are demanding that the suspension be lifted as soonest, so that the workers can return to work and begin to provide the services they were employed to.
Despite the SCC's guidance, Permanent Secretary Paul Torre has not retained the officials. When contacted for a comment, Mr. Torre promised to get back to this reporter as soon as the matter is concluded. While all these issues have left queries in the eyes of the public, the property which brought the matter is in the Rukusuzi National Park. This was the construction of low-cost houses with the objective to accommodate national parks and wildlife officers in the pursuit to curb poaching, which was rife in this area. The houses were done and bringing impact, as community members explain.
The project has really helped the officers in terms of accommodation. We used to live in a very small houses, not too fit for someone to be using the house. But now we have good houses, good environment. You can see we are safe now. Even if I can go for patrols, I'm able to know that my family is well secured because of the same project. That's the benefits. It has also really helped us in terms of rations, uniforms, of which we are very appreciative. We are helping the community and the department since I'm under CRB. Yeah, we are very happy, and it has just added our motivation. It is one of our motivations that we have in Rukusuzi so far. You can see they are beautiful. And every officer is happy because one of the days will be transferred from maybe you are living in that small house to the big house like this one. So every officer is happy in Rukusuzi for the development that is if you was just brought here.
The Department of National Parks and Wildlife is glad that the pursuit to protect animals is being achieved slowly.
Previously, we only had 2 camps, which were right in the middle in Chikomeni, that side. But down this side of the park, it was quite porous and open. So having this camp open this side provides checks for monitoring the boundary peripherals to ensure that no encroachment precedes and going into the protected area. Furthermore, it offers opportunity for the communities that are closer here that could have been encountering human-wildlife conflict to have an office closer to them so that officers can quickly and be able to attend to such issues as they arise in the midst of the communities. The camp, as you can see, there are 4 houses and an office. It is, we're having about 4 officers based right here. And these are operating to do with patrols that are to check on the integrity of the protected area. They do patrols in the park, checking on animal status, checking on the habitats, checking on the infrastructure that we have set up in the park. And they also attend to the communities around. So they also check on the boundary. Previously we have been encountering encroachment into the park by communities who could not see where the boundary is between the communities and the national park. But through the same program or the same project, ZFU, as a first part of curbing encroachment, was to ensure that the boundary is made clear. So beaconing and clearing of the park was done, and therefore people now are aware the boundaries of the park and the presence of this camp ensures that we have minimal incursions in terms of encroachment going into the national park. Prior to opening up this camp, for sure we had to approach the communities. With conservation, we cannot achieve it without involving the communities. So at the first step, we had to approach the traditional leadership. We are glad they welcomed us, and we went into discussions and finally agreed to site this camp at this position. So they were ready, they accepted us, and allowed us to build here, including the lower authorities of the traditional structures. They welcomed even the officers to be right here. So it is working well with the communities who are supporting us to be here, as well as we are here to help and assist them in terms of anything relating to wildlife issues. We are so grateful to Wasteful for us having been part of the project in terms of improving conservation in our protected areas. Such projects are what we look forward to even in the future. If there can be many more such, then we look forward to investing into our protected areas so that we can lift the status of the national parks, so that they also become attractive to investments. We realize that our park is coming from a background which has been quite difficult, but with such steps that like Wasteful did, we are bringing back the integrity of the park, and we're ensuring that in the future we should be able to be seeing investments coming into the park by operators, because certain levels of integrity is returning to the park. So we are so grateful, and we look forward to any such programs or projects that can come forth.
The fight against corruption persists in Zambia, and this case is just one example, emphasizing the need to shed more light and promote good governance. Samuel Sylvester Kwawe,